So how do you know you're getting old? When you have moments of your day that you forget to share, that you're going to share now. That's how you know you're getting old. My family, which was my mom and my cousin Penny, more like Aunt Penny, came up today, and they took Grandpa out for dinner, and that was nice. They had a good time at dinner, so that's good. That's all that matters. And um, just felt like I would mention that. They come up on a day that I have to work. Isn't that the pits, So I don't get to enjoy a good meal, but I got a turkey sandwich with the dog. Yay! That meaning I eat my turkey sandwich, but I'm nice and I share it with Peanut. Anyway, enough said about my day. Let's go on over to the book review, which I promised you. Kate Pearce. Now, why did I pick this book? Well, it was that charming, dashing, and debonair cowboy on the cover, because he's in the cover. It says the right words can take away the bitterness, and it's from New York Times best-selling author Kate Pearce. It says the title of the book is Sweet Talkin' Rancher. The saga is The Millers of Morgan Valley. It's a contemporary romance. We're going to read the back of the cover, then we're going to go straight to the paper clips, and hope you enjoy it, and I'll give you a rating at the end of it. In New York Times best-selling author Kate Pearce's sweet and sexy Miller of the Morgan's Valley series, the close-knit folks of Morgantown, California, have long memories and big hearts to go with them. Everyone in the rancher Danny Miller's life wants to know how he feels about his teenage flame returning to Morgan Valley. Danny wishes he knew. After the disastrous ending of their relationship and Faith's choice to leave town all those years ago, Danny rebuilt his life without her. But he's about to have a very practical reason for needing her in it again. Despite the very impractical desire, she inspires once he lays eyes on her. Faith McDonald had not planned on returning home, but with her dad retiring, her help is needed at the family veterinary practice. She's hoping that by now folks have forgotten about what happened between her and Danny, even if the two of them never can. With a mystery infection decimating the Millers' cattle, she and Danny soon find themselves on the same side for the first time in forever. There was a lot of trouble in their past, but the good parts never really flamed out, including their intense attraction, and their shared determination to cure the cattle just might lead to a healing of their own, and a whole new grown-up future. Praise for the rebellious rancher, sensual, and the sexy Taylor, sexy tale is sure to please cowboy fans by Publishers Weekly. Am I tired? Probably. That's why I'm going so quick. Okay, the very first page out of the gate is the preface, and I've got it marked. You never forget your first love. Danny angled his head and kissed Faith, stopping her words. She didn't have to think about whether to kiss him back and open her mouth to him. With a groan, he delved deep, and she clung onto his shoulders. He tasted the same, but the body beneath his clothes was now fully formed and honed with the strength of hard work into something far more potent. Eventually he drew back and looked down at her, his expression careful. Do you think we can mark this closure, or is it something else? I don't know, Faith said honestly. I just need... This time she was the one who leaned into him and took his mouth, his arms locked around her hips, bringing her astride his lap, making her aware of the hard beneath his jeans. She rocked against him, aware in some parts of her brain that she was not thinking straight, but this was too into what was happening to care. She might care later. She tended to overanalyze everything, but not now, and not now. Okay, that's the preface to get you drawn into the book, to make you want to read it. I have a few pages I have marked, and then I will give you a rating, so this will make it 4 videos tonight, and I'm pretty happy that I've done that. Page 281. I hear Mom invited you to Ellie's going-away dinner. Yes, she did. Faith wasn't sure about that abrupt change of subject, but she wasn't willing to challenge him on it. You're coming, right? Ben walked over to the gate that stopped the calves from leaving the barn. You're good for him. For Danny? Faith sighed. We all argue all the time. Ben grinned. As I said, I'm not sure he sees it that way, Faith said, and I don't want to fight with him. I want to have him happy. Being happy doesn't mean never being challenged, Faith. Sometimes it takes the bad crap to get you to realize you are happy. He suddenly straightened up and looked over his shoulder. I should stop talking. Danny's coming our way. And we're going to move forward to another paper clip. Page 301. You can't predict what life is going to throw at you, Danny. Sometimes you have to take the knocks, pick yourself back up, and move forward, Leanne nudged him. Ask me how I know. But you got your happy ending with Declan, and now you and Dad are getting on fine, right? Yes, because I didn't give up. Danny shook his head. Faith's decided everything was her fault and that she doesn't deserve forgiveness. I tried to tell her that's not true, but she doesn't want to listen. She sounds just like me when I met Declan, Leanne said. I blame myself for everything that went wrong between me and Jeff. I didn't think I deserved to be happy, let alone to be loved by a decent man like Declan. I pushed him away for years. I guess Faith shoved everything into a box and tried to forget about it, but coming back here and facing me suddenly made it hard to keep that lid on everything. I think you're right, Leanne said. You're the kind of person to work things through, but not everyone can do that. I certainly couldn't. What made you change your mind? Danny asked as his gaze was on the crescent moon and the distant peaks of the Sierra Nevadas. How did you forgive yourself? Time, she said, and shrugging. A growing acceptance of who I was and what I wanted to be in the future, and the solid support of a man who wouldn't let me shoulder all the blame. Declan had been there with the death of his only son, and he knew what I needed. Which was, 1, to forgive myself, and 2, Declan's unconditional acceptance and love. The first was up to me, and the second came from him. Eventually I began to believe that he meant it, that I was worthy of that love. Danny considered her words for a long time. That's what I want to do too, for Faith. She elbowed him and to the side. Then why are you still sitting here talking to me? Go talk to her. Okay, page 304. How are you doing? Danny asked. I'm sorry I didn't come to the dinner the other night, Faith said. I just couldn't face everyone. That's not like you, she shrugged. I guess I feel like a tad vulnerable right now. Well, you didn't miss much, Danny said. Daisy sold her company, and she's now a multi-millionaire. Jackson and Kari sold the buried coins from the Morganville mine and made a fortune. I got mad at Evan and told everyone what really went down in Vegas. He paused. I also told them that if they had any questions, they should talk to me and not you. Faith blinked and studied the hard set of his jaw. You look just like your father right now. Maybe it was time to show my Jeff side. Whatever happens, I never want you to feel like you can't live in our hometown. Thanks for the heads up. Faith tried to gauge how she thought about all the Millers knowing about Marcus and couldn't quite get her head around it. I appreciate it. He stared at her for a long minute and then reached for his hat. I guess I should let you get on. No, I mean, would you like to come over for coffee? Faith blurted out. She wasn't really at her best right now, but she would have had to bumble through. I just made it. You sure about that? It's definitely fresh. He sighed and let go of his hat. That's not what I meant, but why not? I didn't get any at home because I didn't want to hang around. Faith poured 2 mugs and added cream and sugar to hers and Danny's and then slid the mug across the countertop to him. Thanks. He took a sip and then set it back down. The thing is, the doorbell rang. And I'm going to let you wonder who's at the door and what happened there. Page 310. After facing down my entire family at dinner, I'm beginning to think my dad might be right about letting this all out sometimes. She shuddered. Not all the time. Definitely not. He met her gaze and took a deep breath. I admire you for saying what you did. I think it's one of the reasons I still love you. You heard me. Danny sipped his coffee like he had all the time in the world and his heart wasn't throbbing filled to the bust. She waved a hand at him. Of course you love me. I love you too. I'm not talking about the past, and you know it, Danny replied. I guess what I need to know is whether or not you love me too. Didn't you just hear all that? She asked. Haven't I already proved it? Am I not good enough for you? I think you're just fine the way you are. I have already said that, Danny said. You have a whole load of shocks to deal with recently, and I know you hate that. How about when you sit down and think things through, give yourself some credit, accept that you're instantly forgivable, and come around to my way of thinking. About what? Deciding whether you're in love with me. Okay. Hold on a second. Sonic's having a moment. Sonic, get down, baby. Come on. Okay. Everything's fine. Mama didn't see you up there. Come on. Here, Mama, move this. Now you can come down. Come on. Okay. Come on. Right here. Come on. Come on, Sonic. Come on. Okay, well, Sonic wants to join us from the top of the desk. Okay. Uh, let's see. Deciding you're in love with me, he shrugged. It's an easy question. One you can answer when we get this deal with everything else together. It's not that simple, Faith protested. Danny set his coffee down and picked up his hat. Yeah, it is. Where are you going? She demanded. He set off for the door. To make sure those fools are off your land, and lock the gate behind them so they can't get back in again. But, she came around toward him, her voice rising. You know where I live. He looked her up and down. As I said, come and give me an answer and I'll take it. Danny, he gently dropped a kiss on her nose. Night, Faith. Give Danny and Tio my best. Okay, moving forward. Thank goodness there's only 2 more pages. Faith drew a resolute breath. I need to talk to you about something, Brandon said. Danny leaned back against the countertop and nodded. Shoot. And I want you to just let me get to the end of it before you say anything, Faith added. Got it. He drew his finger across his lips. Okay. When I married Brandon, I was keen to start a family, and he was totally on board, but things didn't work out naturally. After a couple of years, we ended up seeing a bunch of specialists, and things went downhill from there. She grimaced. You know me well enough to understand that failure was not an option, and it became my life's purpose to get pregnant, which was not healthy. She met Danny's gaze. I think some of it was all tied up with what happened with Marcus, some stupid idea that this time I could do it right, and that would make up for what I lost. But along the way it morphed into an obsession. I can totally see why Brandon wanted out. He tried to tell me, but I didn't want to hear him, so he went off and complained to Callie behind my back, and then of course it all came down to the fact that medically he was totally okay and I wasn't. Now that came the hard part. She gathered her courage. The specialist finally obtained the surgical records of my emergency cesarean and subsequently full-blown eclampsia come from Vegas, and she said I would never be able to carry a baby again. Danny stayed absolutely still. Faith sucked in a breath. I thought you should know that, because obviously I can't have kids. Okay, doesn't that bother you? Faith asked, like if we were to get back together, that we wouldn't be able to have another child? His slow smile was a beautiful thing to see. If we get back together, are you trying to tell me something here? Danny Miller, Faith almost stamped her foot. I'm trying to give you an out. He came toward her, framed her face in his hands, and bent to kiss her nose. We, of all people, know that there are plenty of kids in this world who need parents. You're saying, well, unless you've got a plan for stealing Marcus back, I guess I'm saying that if we can't have our own, and it's something we both want, we can certainly look at adopting. Faith's eyes filled with tears. I do love you. I know he kissed her properly this time. You just need to find a way to say the words. I just need to believe that we could have a future together, as well as a past, Faith said. So do you think? Yeah, I do, Danny said firmly. Now hold tight to me because I'm shaking here. She went up to her toes and wrapped her arms around his neck. I love you, Danny Miller, and I always have. Okay, that's the end of the book review. Next up is my rating of what I think of this book. Would I recommend it? Yes and no. Yes, that I like that it takes us on a long, drawn-out journey, okay? However, at the end of the journey, I like it to be a happy forever after. Maybe Marcus comes back, gets to meet his 2 parents who gave him away at birth. Maybe they find out that she can't have children, the doctor was wrong. You know, some sort of happy, yeah, that doesn't really happen in real life ending. I'm going to give this book a very hard 5. Now, that's not a bad rating, okay? It's a 5. Now, a 5 means it's middle of the road. So, you can take your chances. If you feel like that you want to see if it's a 5 for yourself, read this book. But to me, it took me a long time to get to the purpose, to get to the answer, and then the question to me never really seemed answered. So, you see how you feel. And soon I will probably share The Rancher's Summer Secret with you. So that's the next one up. I've already read it, got it marked off, and yes, that'll be a long one because that's going to be an outstanding book review. So thank you for tuning in. God bless, and have a safe and happy Thursday.